Woo! Hey everybody, Jim Salmons here, and welcome to the Kayak Fishing Show Live, brought to you by Seagar and all these other great sponsors you're seeing scrolling across the bottom, and of course, Ballast Point Brewing Company. I'm having the old Ballast Point Swinging Friar Ale. I had one of these the other day, super good. They call it a hoppy pale ale. So cheers to you all. Thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. I've got some pixelation there because I forgot to turn on a light. So let me turn on my really, really cheap little light that'll make that shot look better. Boom, better. So the show we have coming up today, I'm really stoked about. Again, on Thursdays, we're running the real throwback episodes back from season 1 of our show. So like the first 2 years we were shooting. So, what is that? A lot of episodes ago, over 10 years ago. And actually you can see it. This is a shot taken of where we were fishing at Kiptopeke Park in Chesapeake Bay. Very, very interesting place to fish, to say the least. Probably one of the coldest I've ever been to this day. Even we have kayak fished on the Arctic Circle, and I don't think I was as cold there as I was on this shoot. So say hello to a couple people who are checking in. Jason Baker, thanks for joining us, man. Serge, as always, joining us from Canada. I really appreciate that. Liam Young joining us from our YouTube channel, Kayak Fishing Tales. So remember, you can watch these on YouTube as well. JD Fishing, how you doing? Also watching on Kayak Fishing Tales, CL Gaming. David Varel, how you doing, man? We're doing great. I'm kind of bummed. I was supposed to go fishing tomorrow, and of course we have high wind advisory. So I guess I'll be sitting around drinking beer instead. Richard Martin, how's it going, buddy? Nice white sea bass in that picture. That was one thing, actually. I put up a post earlier today. Maybe check it out. A guy caught a new kayak fishing record here, just a little bit north of where I am, an 80-pound white sea bass. And I posted a picture of my biggest personal best, which was 62 pounds. And then down below it, I put his fish, and you can see, the difference. Just big, big fish. Will Richardson, I think we both know this guy. I think I'm still missing a finger from holding onto the rebar. Yeah, on those concrete ships. And we'll share all kinds of stories about that. And Jason says he's been waiting all day. Well, I've been waiting all day, and I've been waiting a long time because actually I haven't spoken to Kevin in a really long time since we parted ways. No longer on the same affiliation of teams. He was with Ocean Kayak, and of course I'm with Jackson Kayak. And so we haven't chatted with him as much, but always stay in contact and follow the cool stuff he's been doing, which is a lot. I mean, I've really enjoyed what he's been doing, and we'll talk about that as well. So with no further ado, and I hope no technical difficulties, Kayak Kevin Whitley, how you doing, man?
All right.
And I have no. Oh, there you are.
I got you.
I had had a little delay in sound. Let me get rid of this banner across the bottom. There we go. So, brother, man, we haven't chatted in a long time. So I mean, we got to watch this episode, but I also want to catch up.
Yeah, definitely.
You did the kayak tours. I followed you on your last tour, which was I mean, it's hardcore. I remember you did your first ones. You were like on an old Manta, an Ocean Kayak Manta,
exactly.
Which was that boat was kind of an inspiration as we were building the first prowlers and all that. So,
yeah.
And now following, you've been doing a lot of whitewater stuff, kayak fishing. Looks like you're still having fun.
That was because really I started the rivers because of that same reason why you're not fishing tomorrow. The winds were, after so many years of getting beat by the winds, and then that tour kind of really did it to me too. It was like an unusually windy year in Florida, and I just got my butt kicked the whole time, really. and I came back and just started going to the rivers because the wind can't get me there.
But it seems like it's been a really cool learning experience for you too. Like I said, I've really enjoyed watching these posts, man. I mean, what you've learnred and how to better do it, because you're running, whitewater in a sit-on-top fishing kayak.
Yeah, and it is. It's been cool. I'm a master angler in the saltwater, and I enjoy doing that practice and practicing my skills there. But learning a whole new side to things has been awesome for me. I mean, it's just like expanding my mind type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I know my learning experiences and almost drowning on the Ottawa River, and and then to watch you and how you figured out. Are you using thigh straps?
Yes. Yeah. Early on, as soon as I really started getting into bigger waves, I realized I was just getting washed out. I mean, there were so many times I just went out the back of the kayak, just slid right out. So I started using thigh straps, and I really love them. I'm even thinking about when I'm surf punching them, when I have to punch a surf, I'm thinking about using them then too.
Right. Yeah. They definitely give you, when you're surfing in and stuff, they give you so much more boat control, contact with the boat.
It's like a whole 50% more control because, we push down, you know what I mean, on without thigh straps. And now you can actually pull up on it. And that's huge. It's a big, big difference. Huge difference.
Like I said, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Just right off the bat, I mean, if somebody wants to follow you, how do they do that? Just so we can get that right up here up front.
Just look for Kayak Kevin on all the social medias and all that stuff, and on website kayakkevin.com. I haven't posted a lot on it, but recently, but that's still up there for a lot of stuff. And YouTube, Kayak Kevin, all that stuff. Yeah,
very cool.
Did a podcast for a while, Kayak Kevin podcast.
Very cool. Like I said, if you want to see some cool stuff, follow Kevin. It's really entertaining. I mean, I always, whenever you post anything, I check it out because it's always super cool.
Yeah, I just saw your post today too. That's something else. Yeah.
Oh, that fish for me, that was a few years ago. But like I said, this guy got an 80-pounder, kind of an unofficial, not on an IGFA certified scale, but the biggest one off a kayak was also unofficial, but was at 75 pounds.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, just big fish.
Yeah, and they're man size, man.
Yeah, they're very.
You and that guy's holding them up, and the tail's in the water. And
they're long fish, and the other thing, unfortunately for white sea bass, they're delicious. Oh, yeah. they are absolutely delicious. So
they look just like trout. I mean, they look like sea trout.
Yeah, they're just a big croaker.
Yeah. Yeah, they are the same thing. Then they're just a giant size sea trout. Yeah, because they're a big croaker family. They're the same thing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's like I said, they are delicious. Not the hardest fighting fish in the world.
Neither trout.
Yeah, that one actually, my big one there. I literally probably had it gaffed and bleeding on my deck in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah,
but it was a weird situation. It kind of ran straight out away from me. I had a very tight drag, and I just had. Because it was going towards the kelp. I wanted to keep it out of the kelp. I just was whining as fast as I could. And I slammed it into the bottom of my kayak. And it literally just it hit and then just rolled and came up.
You got knocked him out.
I did. And this guy was saying his fish took him like 45 minutes. But it was his first ever legal size white seas. I don't think he hasn't been kayak fishing a long time. I think it was his first experience with a bigger fish, and you get a little bit wary on how hard you can pull and stuff. So
I'm kind of like that with the first big fish of the year. I'm like, I know I can put pressure on it, but I'm gonna ease off until I got him, and then I can push later on as the bigger fish come later on.
Right. So this episode, like I said, it was shot many years ago at Kiptopeke Park on Chesapeake Bay.
That'd be 2008, right? I mean, that's like 12 years ago.
Yeah. At least because it was before the TV show. Yeah, and we're airing our 11th year of the TV show.
It was before we started filming for my DVDs.
Right.
Yeah. Right. This was the catalyst actually that made me start filming DVDs.
Yeah, it was before GoPros. We're using the Sony cameras in the housing, and is. For drones and
way before drones. Before drones.
Right. But this fishery was quite unique. We were fishing those concrete ships. And I mean, you can kind of, like I said, you can kind of see a couple of them there behind me. And we would sit next to these ships at night, freezing our butts off. in December. Is that still a happening fishery? Does it still go on? I heard things changed.
Yeah, the migration actually seemed like that changed. A bunch of reasons why. There's theories why, not really reasons, but just really theories. But that kind of started petering out on us about 2010. So about 2 years after you were there, I think that was the last 2010, 2011 was the last fish we caught at the ships. And we continued to go out onto the drift, which is a couple miles out from there.
Yeah.
Fish were still coming, and they still come through there, but not in the concentration and the numbers. They're still coming down the bay from inside the bay. I mean, we still have our stock migration coming out and meeting up with the migration coming from the north. But what used to happen is the north and our fish were all coming in the bay, and there was just a massive amount of fish in this area. So we could catch them there. They were at the high rise. They were just all along there. Since then, that number has gotten smaller, where we think it's just kind of the fish that are coming out of the bay. The ones that are migrating from down north are getting pushed out into the ocean because guys are going out tuna fishing in the wintertime are seeing them out there, but they're 20 miles out. They're just not coming in the bay anymore. So something has happened with the migration. Lots of theories on it, though. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. I mean, well, not that we got any, but
that was like the worst. That was typically the best week to come. Second week in January or second week in December. That's usually like the hype week. That's the week that usually it happens. And we just happened to get a horrible cold front come through and shut it all down. And that was like a whole week, and it was freezing. The water when you first got there, I remember it was teetering right on the mark where it's going to shut off, and really it hit below that, and then it shut off.
And like I said, it was cold. I think I had on every layer of clothing that I had with me.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so. I think I was wearing like 4 pairs of socks.
Yeah.
It was so freaking cold.
Well, it's sitting there too. It's sitting there because you're not paddling, you're not trolling, you're not casting. You're really just sitting there bait fishing, and that's kind of half the cold is just sitting there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, admittedly, I think I said at the end of that trip, if this was the only way I could fish, I don't think I would fish.
Yep.
Because it was so cold, and like I say, we're sitting still, hanging onto those ships and all that. Well, with no further ado, let's get this episode going, and we'll answer some questions on the next commercial break or whenever I feel like pausing it. So actually, I need to make sure I share audio for once and not have to do this twice. Share. There we go. Let's run this thing.
Cool.
On the kayak fishing show this week, winter's hit, and it's time for me to try out a bit of striper fishing with a rock star of a fishing buddy, Kayak Kevin Whitley, in Chesapeake Bay, Virginia. We're going to be hunting for stripers in the spooky sunken ships of Kiptopeke Park. Stay tuned. This is going to rock.
Rock.
Good old Ocean Kayak.
In any sport, you inevitably find someone pushing the limits. While kayak fishing has been exploding in popularity, Jim Salmons has been doing just that.
Yeah, look at these. Nice.
From the seat of his ocean kayak, Jim challenges the world's top game fish and puts his kayak fishing skills to the ultimate test.
Never fought a kayak, have you, fish?
From freshwater to saltwater, Jim's mission is simple: to discover the best fishing destinations in the world and prove that anything is possible from a kayak.
I still love this old intro to the show.
Yeah.
And the little one got away.
Although my new intro song is a heck of a lot better.
The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak. makers of the Trident series of fishing kayaks. Ex Officio, clothing for the adventurous spirit. Scotty, the way to fish.
What ocean kayak you cruising on
Standard
nowadays?
Horizon,
Trident
enough to
and
take to
Prowler.
the water like standard
Probably
Horizon.
13.
Oh, the old
Maui
one, huh?
Jim,
Yeah.
Lemonade
Awesome.
Glass,
Went back because
Color,
when I actually hurt my
and
knee
Peloton
and I couldn't.
Quest.
I needed a lighter
Combined
boat to pull
outdoors
across the
media.
sand, so I was like, perfect.
This week, Jim is headed
Perfect.
to Norfolk, Virginia to fish Chesapeake Bay with up-and-coming kayak angling superstar, Kayak Kevin Whitley. It's early December, and the waters of the bay are floating just above freezing. Most anglers have stored their gear for the season, but Kevin waits all year for this opportunity, because this is when the mammoth striped bass make their way through the bay and converge on the sunken concrete ships just off Kiptopeke State Park. Over the past 5 years, Kevin has made a name for himself in the fishing world, not just because he catches big fish from his kayak, because the 37-year-old Norfolk native is the first kayak angler to receive expert angler status, not only once, but twice by the Virginia Saltwater Tournament.
They call me Kayak Kevin. I'm calling a radio show to start kayaking, and instead of calling and saying, "Yeah, this is Kevin that fishes out of a kayak," I just call it Kayak Kevin, and it just started growing from there. Simple, stuck, sounded good, rolled off the tongue.
Oh, he's a pretty funny guy. He loves to paddle. I mean, he'll paddle all day for nothing.
You still hanging out with that guy?
Yeah, he just fought a 500-pound marlin yesterday.
His work one day.
Where?
Not in a kayak, off a boat, but yeah.
Wow. And I happened to run into him.
He's got 2 kids and everything, man.
Wow.
Wow.
Good dude.
Like that.
Yeah,
The
definitely.
first actual trip we made together, he caught his first citation sheepshead ever, and I caught my first sheepshead and tautog ever. We started fishing at 6 in the morning and ran out of bait by 8. It was an amazing day, and we've been fishing together ever since.
Before I started kayaking, I was a musician. I was I guess, amateur pro musician. You know, I still had my day job, but I was making money playing music and metal bands, fusion bands.
That shot cracks me up.
You know, regional tours and a little bit East Coast stuff. And that's, kind of got into kayak fishing because that didn't go anywhere. I still had the lifestyle to tour. I wanted to be on the road all the time. And that kind of fizzled out. So I kind of figured I've got the lifestyle to get out there and get on the road, and might as well do it in unconventional ways, and got into kayaking just for that.
Chicks.
Got into kayaking for the touring aspect of it, and then quickly realized that you can fish out of this thing, and it's even better than fishing out of the boat. We can get fish within paddle distance. Every fish in the bay, big, small, we can get to, and it's a lot of fun. It's an incredible lot of fun to get pulled around by these fish.
The bass are big. The water is choppy and cold, but Kevin has promised big fish. And where there are
And
big
rain,
fish,
apparently.
Jim will follow.
Well, that's a commercial break, and I said we'll bring us back up here. So, like I said, great group of guys. I mean, I remember we fished with Lee. Did we fit? I think we fished with Rob, or at least hung out with Rob Choi.
Yeah.
During this shoot. Like I said, I have not watched this in years.
Yeah, me either.
So,
I had forgotten that we gone to Cape Henry and did some trolling. Those shots, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot we did that.
I remember there was an outgoing tide or incoming tide. I don't remember which way we were, and literally having to paddle to shore and drag the kayaks because it was totally
treadmill.
Paddling on the treadmill. I remember looking over at the beach, and there was a tree or a limb or something stuck down in the beach, and I'd put my head down, I paddle and paddle and paddle, and I look over, and it's still right there. I'm like, yeah, this ain't working. There was
and we were trying to troll those big swim bait. It was nuts. It was nuts. I still can't believe we used to do that.
Yeah, you know what? I have a Yamaha 150 for doing that stuff now.
Yeah. Just that place is it's so rough on current. I mean, it's all right if you catch it on that slack tide or slack current, but it's rough when it gets going. It is straight treadmill. Like
I said, I'll never forget that. I mean, there's a lot of great memories from this trip, but I remember that part. I think while we had an evening where Lee brought like a bushel of oysters and ate oysters until they were coming out of our ears, and it was like one of the most incredible feasts I think I've ever had. Even since then, it was so amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Let's see, we got some more comments here. Troy watching again on our YouTube channel, Kayak Fishing Tales. He says he wants to get back on the CBBT badly. Something bridge tunnel.
Yep, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel.
Okay. Dave Massigal says, "Hey, Jim caught 8 largemouth yesterday." That's sweet. Where were you fishing, man? The exact spot. CL Gaming. I am from North Carolina and bought my first lifetime yak. Still working on my mods. Well, you know what? That's the cool thing is there is so much great information out there to help you rig those things up. And of course, we're always here to answer any questions. Neokari Daniel says he'll be hitting the CBBT hard this year. You still get out there and fish that?
Yeah.
I remember you fish the pilings and stuff a lot, right?
Yep, and the reds come through in September, so I really target it hard then. But then in the summertime, it's sheep's head, spadefish. Spadefish is like one of my favorites because I'll actually go out there to kill 4 of them and bring in to eat. So spadefish are great out there too. So yeah, I'm really going to try to target flounder. I don't target flounder there so much, but I was just talking about today. I was like, I really need to target some flounder this year. Another one that I'll kill to eat. And I had 2 last year. One that I was going to keep, I got him in the boat, and before I got him on the boger grip, he was out. So flounder, it was impossible to keep in sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. Ghazi saying, hello, how you doing, man? Thanks for joining us. Walter Anchor, hello from Warren, Michigan. I'm a first-time watcher. Well, thank you for joining us, Walter. I really appreciate it. We have these shows every Tuesday and Thursdays, and sometimes other days, just when I feel like doing it. So subscribe. That way you get notified. Graham Shaw, hi from across the pond. Will Richardson. Yeah, we know this guy. So cold. It was so cold.
And he's a Canadian too. So.
Right. Right. That shows how freaking cold it was. Yeah, exactly. Will's like, then we got a box of clothing from the sponsors and we wore all of this.
Yep.
And they weren't our clothes. Remember, Ken and Brendan were supposed to come on the trip.
That's right.
And there was like a hurricane in Canada, blizzard, whatever. And so all their clothing got shipped to us. So we ransacked it. So we had more layers to wear.
That's where those 4 layers came from.
Yep, exactly. And Will, oh man, the old intro. I like the old intro. I think it's really cool, except that we have the great new song by Brock Seaman. Awesome. I mean, when they hit the ocean like that, the ocean's where it's at. I mean, freshwater's fun. And like I said, what you're doing with the whitewater, including that, and especially if you're getting smallmouth. I mean, smallies are super fun, but I'm an offshore guy. I like the saltwater fish. And I mean, like the stuff that you, and I don't know if you're still doing it. You get out there on the shoals and get those big redfish in the shoals. I mean, that was another one of those things that I always used to like to watch that you were doing. It was so incredible.
I try not to post about it too much until the season's over nowadays.
Right.
We've noticed that people they kind of wait to see until somebody posts and then they'll go for it instead of like really looking forward to it and going out when the time's right there. So we try to people who are out there now are like actually going after it. So that's what we rather have those guys out there than the guys. Oh, look, let's go catch a redfish and go try to go out there.
Is there a certain time of year that those are usually around?
Yeah, it's right now until into June, and then they start moving out of our area and kind of go out into the deeper water. Yeah. So May, April, May, beginning. Starting to tail off in June, and then September they come back in our range at the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Right.
I mean, and just historically, the fish I've seen you catch and Rob and Lee, I mean, just some phenomenal fish. Do you get to still see Rob Troy much at all?
Yeah, Yeah, well, he lives in Richmond, so whenever I can. But yeah, I just talked to him today because we're trying to plan something for this weekend. So what are you doing this weekend? All that stuff. We're trying to fish together this weekend. Not sure. The winds down. Yeah, the winds.
The winds.
The winds.
Everywhere we go, it's the winds. Well, let's get this thing rolling again. See what happens in this next segment.
Welcome back to the Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Sammons. This week, Jim connects with Kayak Kevin Whitley while on the hunt for big stripers in Chesapeake Bay. A half hour from the bustling Navy city of Norfolk, Virginia, across the massive expanse of the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel, and along the lower eastern shore peninsula of Virginia, you'll find a world-class fishery full of red drum, black drum, stripers, and cobia. In the middle, you'll find Kiptopeke State Park, with camping, RV rentals, cabins, and lodges for rent that each holds 16 people. And
those cabins were nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that whenever, while I had it. After you guys, I started doing it with my DVDs. I started getting them every year, and we lived like rock stars for a little bit every December doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool place. And I mean, even if you're not fishing, a super interesting place to paddle.
Absolutely.
Really comfortable. This is the hot spot for stripers at this time of year. When they migrate down from Maine, New England, they migrate down from the northern part of the bay, and they center right here for a good period of time when the water temperatures are right and the bait's here and everything's right. It's the easiest spot for a kayaker to get to trophy-sized striped bass.
Well, yeah, we were 100 yards from the launch point, literally.
Yeah. And you can sit in a relatively protected area from the wind and the waves and sit there and land 50-plus pound stripers potentially. You can pretty much guarantee when they're here, you can always catch over 40-inch fish. And for a lot of guys who
see that old drifter there,
big fish out of a kayak, considering a 40-inch fish is a decent size for a kayak.
That was a soaking wet boat.
Yep.
Because they can get out there with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of background, and get out there and get a good shot at catching that 40-inch.
Yeah.
We're out here in Chesapeake Bay at Kiptopeke Park and fishing along these concrete boats for striped bass. We're fishing live eels. And
that's a disgusting bait. I'm not gonna lie.
Hopefully, bring the fish along the sides here.
I think air temperatures.
Yeah, after this fishery kind of dwindled down, I was like, yeah, I'm good with fishing with eels. I'm all right.
Borderline in a warm 42 degrees. Yeah, balmy. So, one of the really cool things about being a kayak and fishing the ships is that we can get right up next to the structure. On a boat, they can't get as close as we can and drop our eels right to the base of the structure. And the really cool thing about it is we use our boats our kayak nose up to it.
Banging into the structure
all day long. But they're ocean kayaks. That's why we ride ocean kayaks. They can take the beating year after year after year after bang after bang after structure after structure. They always do. You beat them up and still get out in.
Without a doubt, the most beat up kayak.
Your kayaks were so beat up.
I got a box of eels. We use eels out here for the stripers. And a lot of times people go, well, why are you using eels? It's just slimy. I don't want to get all slimy and deal with eels. But that's what they're feeding on out here. And you're going to get completely slime when you catch a striper anyway. It's so big, your entire body's going to be a slime. So a little bit of eel slime is well worth the striper slime. Now what I do is, I got them in here, and I got them kind of docile. I had them on ice, and I kind of refreshed them. What I have is holes in here. They will suffocate on their own slime if you leave them in a container that cannot drain. They can survive out of water when you just dip them in the water to drain them out a little bit, give them some refreshments. So when I try to find one, there's a big one right there. I'm going to grab him real hard, real tight around the neck. Make sure he's not going to see. He's trying to get out of here. Hook him up through the jaw, out through the eye. And you got to get him in the water fast. If you don't, he's going to fall right up. He's going to try to get up on the hook, fall your line up. So as soon as I hook him up, throw him in the water. We want to put the eel just suspended above the bottom. We don't want to put it in the bottom or on the bottom. So much rubble and stuff down here. These eels will get into it, and you'll never get them out. You're hung. So what we do is we just drop it down to the bottom till it hits. It's about 20, 30 feet around here. Boom, we're on bottom. 1, 2, 3. Clicker on, put it in free spool. And now the eel's suspended and he's just kind of swimming and trying to get to the bottom, and it looks great for the stripers because they're coming underneath of them. They're looking up at them. That's when they get them. And we just get our nose of our kayaks right up against the structure. Fish it just like that.
Not only was it cold, but it rained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should have let him go because
And then it got colder after it rained.
Yeah.
There were two things Kevin forgot to tell Jim before he showed up. The fog would be thick during the day, and the best fishing would be at night. Late at night.
It's striper time, and we chase these stripers until the water temperature gets 42 degrees and they move out into the ocean. Then we just go out there and troll after them.
Although nighttime can be one of the most productive fishing times, kayak fishing at night doesn't come without its dangers. And that's why fishing in the dark is the topic of this week's Ex Officio Kayak Fishing Tip of the Week.
Gliding along and fighting a fish at night is one of the coolest experiences you can have on a kayak. Throw in some bioluminescence like I do back.
That's on Mission Bay here in San Diego.
Yeah.
Depending on the fish you're targeting, night fishing might also be
that wasn't Kiptopeke.
On the West Coast, there's a contingent of kayak anglers that regularly venture out at night to drop hoop nets in search of lobster. While here in Chesapeake Bay, nighttime is the best time to hook into stripers. Now, it should go without saying that you should carry all your normal safety gear, including a PFD. But you also need to take measures to make yourself more visible to boats on the water and to make working in the dark easier. First off, if you're kayak fishing at night, be way more conservative with all your decisions and stick to sheltered, low-traffic waters. It's also important that you never go kayak fishing alone at night and that you stay in close and steady communication with your paddling buddies, which means bringing along your VHF radios. As far as working in the dark, bring along a good headlight as well as a backup because it's pretty easy to lose them. Headlamps keep your hands free and light where you need it. I use this one by Princeton Tech because it has a variety of light settings and it's waterproof. Now, running lights on a kayak are not required in most states, but I know plenty of guys who have their kayaks fully rigged with running lights because they spend the majority of their time fishing at night. For most anglers, one of Scotty's safety lights will do the
Yak Attack. One of Yak Attack.
One of Scotty's bases. Most kayak anglers prefer to mount these to the back of the kayak so it's out of the way and out of your eyes. To make yourself more visible, you can also add some reflective tape to your kayak and your paddle. A lot of PFDs will come with this reflective tape sewn into the seams. Another important piece of gear when you're fishing at night is a GPS, because it's pretty easy to get disoriented in the dark. You then toss in a bit of fog, and it's easy to see how you can get lost in an area you know.
Tell you, those electronics have come a long way since then, too.
So
Yeah.
As a side note,
now you pretty much have a picture of the bottom.
Yeah, and then side scans, too. That's been a big deal out here.
Yeah, for sure.
Your Ex Officio Kayak Fishing Tip of the Week.
For the most comprehensive guide to kayak fishing, pick up a copy of The Ultimate Guide to Kayak Fishing at your local outdoor store or at kayakfishingshow.com. Frustrations mount as Jim and Kevin battle harsh conditions with no sign of stripers.
Oh my gosh.
I still don't think there are any fish out here.
That was Jock Bradley, took that picture behind me.
Yep.
But as the weather starts to turn, Jim and Kevin prepare to make their final stand. Stay tuned for more action from the concrete ships in Chesapeake Bay. The Kayak Fishing Show is brought to you in part by Ocean Kayak, Ex Officio, Scotty, Maui Jim, Standard Horizon.
So, like I said, freezing cold. You say you're not doing. So if you're not doing that kind of location-based thing, when you go for stripers, are you still going at night?
Yeah, we have. There's been sometimes we're not catching them those giant 50 inches, but we can catch in the 40-inch range and low 40-inch range sometimes within the rivers on their way out. So there's certain spots, even the James and York rivers, that we can kind of head them off as they're heading out in December. But did that a few times and was able to catch a low 40s, 40 inchers. But it was nighttime. Still, when you try to target those things, it's kind of the better times at night.
Okay. John Heisman fished CBBT many times with Kevin Whitley and the boys. I miss it. Freshwater kind of sucks. Did you move from the area, John? That whole area, because we came and fished with you a couple more times after this. I know we did one long paddle and we went out to the bridge one day.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different stuff to do there. I mean, do you pretty much have year-round fishing?
Yeah, for the most part, until it gets like super cold, like below 40 42 degrees. You can still, like Rick had it. He stayed on fish all year long this year, even when in the deep winter when the waters really got cold into the 40s. He was still fishing the very backwaters, into the rivers. Still saltwater, of course, in the rivers, tidal waters,
Right.
but catching trout and striper. Real slow presentations, but he was still kind of catching them. So there is opportunities here year round. You just got to kind of go find them. They're slow and real sluggish and all that stuff. But there is some warmer, black mud bottom water around here that you can get in sunny days. The water will start to warm up enough to get fish a little bit active, and they don't all migrate out of here. And we used to think that when back then, but we're realizing now that not all the fish leave. A lot of fish stay. We used to have this place called the Hot Ditch, which was a warm water release from a power plant. And that has shut down. And that area, that one particular thing is shut down. But after that, people are still realizing those fish still hang out in those deep backwaters.
Right.
So it's still good fishery here during that time.
Yeah, it's kind of
I just don't like those slow presentations. That drives me crazy. It's already cold enough. Yeah, throwing a jig, throwing a bait out there and then twitch and letting it sit for 5 minutes. That drives me crazy.
Right, I'm with you. I kind of like throwing top water and stuff with the fast retrieve, that sort of thing. Dave O'Donovan, hi from Dublin, Ireland. Thanks for joining us, man. I really appreciate it. And Tony Greer says the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel is spitting distance from the concrete ships. Yeah,
the high rise section. Yeah.
Walter has got a really long one here. Thank you. I just started kayak fishing 2 years ago and love it. I have 2 cheaper sit-ins and feel comfortable in them, but now really ready to upgrade, and everyone keeps telling me to get a sit-on. So I borrowed one for only a couple of hours and got sunburned. Now I'm gun shy of the open ones, so I understand what to do yet. I'm almost 68, so want to be certain what I get. I was going to go and try out day here in Michigan and do some comparisons, but they're all canceled. Right. Yeah. It's hard to do a demo day when nobody's doing them. There's a lot of great sit-in sides. Old Town makes some great ones. Jackson Kayak has their Kilroys, which are freaking awesome.
Yeah.
They're so stable. They paddle really well.
It's the idea of having an open cockpit, sit inside type of boat, like the Kilroy's like that. That Bonafide is like that. And the loons, the Old Towns are like that. So you have room to be able to fish and deal with stuff like that. But yeah, the sunburn stuff on your legs, that's a sit on top kayaker deal. You got long pants. You got light long pants,
light nylon pants, that sort of thing. What sit on tops give you is the ability to kind of move around. If people have seen me, they'll see me 90% of the time I'm putting my feet in the water, and sitting side saddle. And so that's always more comfortable for me. But yeah, those larger cockpitted boats, if you're fishing flat water. Yeah. But again, you flip one of those boats, you're filling up a large cockpit full of water, much more difficult to self-rescue, that sort of thing. The sit on tops, you can punch through surf, the water, they're self-bailing, so it's, if you're, like I said, if you're going to be in rough water conditions, punching through surf, anything like that, you really got to go sit on top. But if you're a flat water guy, and you're comfortable with your skills and that, like I said, those boats like the Kilroy are absolutely awesome. And I know a lot of people, that's their favorite boat.
Yeah.
Don Winger saying hi from Pueblo, Colorado. How you doing, man? Donna, Drew, I haven't kayak fished at night yet, but I live in Gator country.
Yeah.
So a little concerned with them.
That's a concern.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Yeah, they will startle you, right? As much as anything else, they will really startle you. But let's get back to the next segment of this show. Maybe I should put it on there at the right position.
And the Heliconia Press. Kayak Fishing Show with Jim Salmons. This week, Jim connects with Kayak Kevin Whitley in Chesapeake Bay while on the hunt for big stripers. Although frustrated by the lack of fish activity around the concrete ships that form the breakwaters for Kiptopeke Beach, Kevin and Jim are more than happy to once again brave the freezing cold conditions for a hookup with one of the monster striped bass.
I don't know about
they
more
know
than
are
happy.
in the area.
It's a little breezy. I think it might be a short day. That wind picks up. It's hard to fish in this. Once again, pounding these ships, dodging the rain, dodging the lightning. Actually, it's not too bad right now. It's gotten windier. So, tough. It's been a very tough fishing trip. Fun fishing trip as always, having a great time, but man, not so much as a single bite the whole trip. Jim, well appreciative of this spot I see. It's we're having a good time out here this week. It's unfortunate the fish won't, join us, but
After 8 hours of banging around the ships, Jim, Lee, and Kevin still haven't managed to sacrifice a single eel to the big bass that troll around the base of these ships. The reality and disappointment of a skunking start to settle in.
we're fishing at another spot tomorrow that is guaranteed to hold fish.
I also got another line out behind me, free line. But what I usually don't go 2 rods out here because of all the structure, but I figured I'll cut a line if it gets stuck at this point.
The whole key to fishing Chesapeake Bay is staying in one spot. Whether you're paddling in one spot or you're holding onto a boat in one spot. Today was actually pretty amazing. We saw a lot of area. We paddled at least 30 miles. We only covered 2. We only paddled 30.
Might be as close to a striper as we're gonna get on this trip. Yeah.
Fishing kayaks are designed primarily to be stable and to travel efficiently in a straight line.
I think one of the things that I tend to mention about like certain trips, the trips that you go out there and you catch fish and just gets done, you don't necessarily make the memories.
Mm-hmm.
I remember so much about, it was the worst fishing trip as far as catching goes. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But we had so much fun with such a great group of guys. I remember, and I don't even know if it's in here, because like I said, I haven't watched this in forever. I remember we were telling jokes. We were singing songs, just to kill time while we're sitting against those ships in the middle of the night. And I don't know that I've ever laughed as hard.
Yeah.
It was absolutely an incredible trip. So, the fish don't always make the trip, right?
Yeah.
It's the whole adventure and the people you're with. And that's one thing I really remember about this trip, just such a great group and just laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Even under, in adverse conditions and just having such a tough time, we had fun.
Yeah. 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 Well, because we get skunked a lot, so.
You're used to it.
We got to entertain ourselves, so we end up entertaining each other.
Get
When
that thing
you're working
going
in
again.
tight areas like around the concrete ships of Kiptopeke, it's important that you know draw strokes, which let you move your kayak sideways
kayak fishing
and
tip
maneuver around obstacles.
Of the week.
And that's exactly what world champion kayaker Ken Whiting is going to explain in this week's Ocean Kayaking Tip.
For the most effective draw stroke, there's a few things you need to do. You want to get your blade fully in the water. You also Want to get your paddle shaft as broad
Everybody
as
pedals
possible.
now, so nobody knows how to do any of these strokes.
Yep.
Which is a little bit awkward, but
Yep.
really makes a difference with your stroke. One other thing.
I gave classes and I started to talk about
body,
paddling
head
techniques. I'm
body
like, oh
weight
yeah.
with paddle.
This
With
is
my body
going
weight
right
flat,
over people's head. If you ain't paying no attention
hold
to
my
this.
top hand in a fairly still position. It'll act like a pivot, while my lower hand.
But you can really see it when a pedal kayaker gets into adverse conditions and they just don't know how to actually handle their boat.
Because if
Yep.
you don't,
Yep.
your paddle will get
Yep.
pinned against your kayak and throw you off balance. So you have two choices when it comes to finishing the stroke. You can just slice your blade out to the stern, or you can do what's called a T-stroke. A T-stroke involves curling my wrist to turn my blade 90 degrees. I can then slice that blade back out to where I started and take another stroke. If you find your boat turning as you take your draw strokes, it means you're either pulling the stroke in too far forward or too far back. And so you'll have to play around with that to find the happy medium. If you've got a rudder in the water, you'll definitely need to pull your draw stroke behind your hip to make sure you're pulling your kayak sideways.
That type of draw stroke, if you're not paying attention, you can put yourself in the water.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you catch it on the boat and
You're leaning so far.
Yeah.
Ocean kayak.
That's why I generally prefer a sculling draw.
Yep.
You know,
That's my
sweeping.
favorite too. They have like the figure eight type of deal. Yeah. That's my favorite. I can always, if I get unbalanced, my paddle's already in the water.
Although the big stripers don't seem.
We got a couple other comments here. We'll touch base and then hit the final bit of the show. Here we go. Bought fishing kayak 4 to 5 years ago and blew out the elbow just after and could not paddle, hoping to get out this year. And then again, you know, people that have those elbow shoulder problems, that's where those pedal boats come in. I mean, there's so many of them out there. There's so many different choices in pedal boats. You know, Jackson makes them, Hobie makes them, Old Town, Ocean. I mean, you have a lot of choices in different types of pedal boats, and you can find one if you have that, you know, shoulder elbow type of disability. I mean, there's a lot of great boats out there, and you know, a lot of people love them. I happen to enjoy paddling, personally, but they're game changers for a lot of people.
Yeah, I knew a guy who same thing, messed up his shoulder. He was a paddler, and I mean, we even call him Moken Man because he paddled a Moken, so we identify him as a Moken. But now he's in a pedal drive because he hurt his shoulder and he couldn't do it anymore. So he had to get a pedal drive just to be able to stay, you know, within the plastic boat realm. So yeah, but we still call him Moken Man.
At that point, I just throw a motor on the back. Heck with it. Nukari, I don't get much chance in the salt. Been Pensacola and Fort Lauderdale once each. Yeah. And the surf from Hatteras too. So yeah, well, I mean, it's like fish where you can. I mean, there's big fish in the fresh. Sturgeon. I mean, we got a 9.5 foot sturgeon off the kayaks up on the Fraser River some years ago. So a lot of stuff. What is Troy says? Salmons just saw sit-ins with bulkheads. Do they keep floating with cockpit full of water? Yeah, most of them will. Even if the cockpit fills, they'll get submerged, but they won't completely sink. Even the boats that have bulkheads, again, you still have a larger space that fills up with water. So getting that water out versus having a self-bailing boat that you just flip over and climb back on. I said that's why the sit-on tops are preferred in rough water, offshore, surf-type conditions. The flat water, like I said, the sit-ins, the large cockpit, I guess what we call wreck boats. Then, like I said, like the Kilroy and the boats that Kevin mentioned earlier from Old Town. You know, they're very nice. And like I said, most of them paddle really well. And I know at least with the Kilroys, you know, they're super stable for standing in. And I know a lot of the videographers and camera guys prefer them because they can get the cameras up underneath the deck a little bit. So
but still have enough room to be able to reach around and through there. And yeah, there's a lot of room in it too. That's what's cool about that boat.
Yeah. So many choices in boats now. I mean, back when I started, basically in our area, we had ocean kayaks, and then there were some perception boats around, and then Cobras.
Right.
The old Cobra fish and dive.
Yeah.
Kind of became popular. It was like you either had a Scupper or Scupper Pro because you liked paddling fast, or you had a Cobra because you wanted something big and stable.
Yep.
So as I said, it's so many different choices now. For the kayak anglers, it's amazing.
I think those makes it difficult for people who to get overwhelmed with so many choices, and that's what sucks about also this with the COVID this year is no demo days. I know our demo day that we have at ARC now is canceled this year, and that's. I was just talking. There's a kid that just emailed me or messaged me, and he was asking about tips for boats, and I was like. This before I knew the demo day was done, and I was like, if they're still having it, go and try out some boats. You really want to go out and try out these boats, and now they're not having it. I'm like, man, now it's gonna be even harder because now you got to figure out, well, I think some of the companies are going to the reps are going to try to maybe do some individual type of company demo days or something like that when we get going again.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if you've seen it or tried it, but what has become my favorite boat, particularly in the flats and stuff, and it's not a kayak, it's that Blue Sky Boat Works.
Oh, right.
The Angler 360, the catamaran thing.
Yeah, I've seen it when I was working at the kayak shop. We had one come in, and I still got to see it. And it was what was cool about it is it fits in the back of a pickup truck.
Fits right in the back of the truck. I have it on a trailer because I have two kayaks sitting on edge next to it.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting just like I'm sitting in this chair at this height, so it's so comfortable on my back. You know what it's like. You need to make a cast and to sit on top, or you got to kind of either do a backhand cast or pivot yourself around. Where this, you just spin, make a cast, spin, make a cast. It's really one of the funnest things I've fished off it. Great for, like I said, those flats, Louisiana. Fishing the redfish and stuff, and in Florida, and I've actually taken it out to the kelp beds here. It's definitely not a surf launching type boat, but super fun to fish off of. Yeah. So, but you can't even consider calling it a kayak. It's
right.
It's a fishing craft. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. Watch the end of this video.
To want to cooperate, Kevin isn't about to let this trip come up empty. So he takes Jim to a secret spot, tucked out of the wind and rain of Chesapeake Bay, to knock another fish off Jim's list.
We gave it a shot. We gave it a lot of shots, and that wasn't going to happen. So I thought, come to Rudy and get some little reds. Jim has never caught a redfish.
That's right. That's where I caught my very first redfish. I totally forgot.
I forgot that too. And you had been to Florida before this.
That's right. Puppy drum, right? Puppy drum.
Yep. That's the local name for him. Yep.
Time we fight, I either have a click back, and I know she's right. All my friends, well, they say I'm weird, cause I'm in love with a girl that goes heels, blood red lips, barbed wire eyes, grinning like a python every time she smiles.
And we work hard for these fish. Beautiful fish. My second redfish.
Little red drum or red fish, or puppy drum as they call them around here, but I just call them little reds.
Yeah, she got one in the first, she got one in the third, and they're all loaded up and they're ready to shoot. One at her hip, one under her seat, one in her got her from her father on a sweet 16. But we went it on the town just the other night. She proposed to me beneath the neon light. What the hell was I supposed to say? I'm not sure if I'm in love or just afraid to leave. Blood red lips, barbed wire eyes, grinning like a python every time she smiles. A little gunslinger, she's my only one. I say something so sexy about a girl with a gun. Something so sexy about a girl with a gun. I say something so sexy. Yeah, something so sexy. There's something so sexy. Ooh, there's something so sexy.
Oh, that totally saved the trip, man.
Yeah.
Totally. So sexy about a girl with a gun.
I believe singing that song was Brock Zeman, our one who does the theme song for my show now.
Yep.
Not only are they great for fishing, but they're also great for paddling in because of their curved fingers. The Glacier gloves also come with a slit thumb and index
How to get
finger.
these sponsor bumps in.
On the thumb and the index finger, you still have dexterity.
So basically, this is the end of the show, except we get into the very, very end of the show as we get into the credits. What happened after we left?
Right.
And they're really worth trying out on those.
I mean,
days. You can see Glacier gloves, full line of products.
I'll pause it here just for a second because. Well, I'll let you explain what happened.
Well, the day we saw the temperatures were going to come up when y'all left, and we were like, man, if you just stay another day, because it was really the next night is when it came back on it because the temperatures came up. I think the day you were leaving, the temperatures had started to rise, but it.
Well, yeah, that was a nice day right there. That was
yeah. So like the temperatures were going to come up, but we needed another day of that. So we needed to come up and then level off. We couldn't have it come up and then you needed to stay down. You had to let it get stable. So it was the next day, and we got them. And we got them like I think I caught 4 that night. We all like caught them, and it was one of those. Yeah.
So guys, what you gotta understand is we literally after we fished, we jumped on the plane that day after we caught these red drum. And so you had that night, and I think it was the next night.
Yeah.
The following day, we get emails from these guys with photos and little snippets of video that they just freaking crushed it. Big fish. I mean, 40 pounds plus.
Yeah.
Literally the day after we freaking left.
That next night was everything we needed that whole week.
I said I'm pretty sure it's on here. I don't remember exactly, but I think
sometimes
it's in the credits.
Yeah, because Will gave me a GoPro and like a zip drive or something. So whatever because I told him it's happening. So he gave me a camera and was like, film whatever you get and then just send it. Right, we can use it. So that's what I did. That's the footage that's up here. The next stuff.
Been just a blast to fish with. I mean, it's easy to have a good time fishing with people when the fishing's good. Obviously, we've had slow fishing, and we've just had a blast fishing with the guys. Attitude is always just go.
We're out here from Virginia, Chesapeake Bay. Didn't get on the stripers. We got on some freds.
Here it is, I think.
24 hours after Jim leaves Chesapeake, Kevin and his buddies.
It's just not fair.
One more shot.
Oh, that was from Cape Henry. So that was there's the big fish from Yeah. Yeah, the next night.
And that's why we had gone there.
Yeah, that's exactly. That next night, all those fish should have been on this video.
Oh my goodness.
Join us next week on the
Stop sharing this. Get my mouse over here. All right. But man, like I said, great memories. I mean, I remember so much of that trip. And like I said, it was 12 years ago. And I barely remember yesterday, but there's so many great memories from that trip and so much fun. And, please give my best to all the guys, Rob and Lee. And I mean, I'd love to get out and fish with those guys again. And just so much fun. And I really appreciate catching up with you because it's been way too long.
Yeah. That was when you did this. I was happy about it. I was like, okay, I don't have internet at home, so I had to go to my mom's house. So I was like, okay, I'll make sure I'll get over here and get all this stuff. And I'm glad I have video. Yesterday we didn't have video, and I was like, man, I don't want to do this just audio. That's gonna suck.
Right.
So I'm so happy we got to do this. I'm really stoked on it. And thanks for the invite, man. That was awesome.
I said it's been so much fun for me, and that's what's been fun about reliving all these old episodes that basically have never aired before on TV or not on the internet.
Yeah.
So, this is the first time for a lot of people to see this stuff. And so, like I said, we're doing this every Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesdays are the Jackson kayak years and Thursdays are the Ocean kayak years, and just having a lot of fun and reliving these trips. So anyway, Kev, we've been on exactly 1 hour. And
nice.
I mean, it flew by, and I can't thank you enough. Again, if somebody wants to follow what you're doing, what's the best way for them?
Yeah, I'm real active on Instagram, and I post on Facebook through Instagram, but it's Kayak Kevin. Just look up Kayak Kevin. YouTube, Kayak Kevin is on. Just look for that. And we're talking about the tour from last year. I have it all on a playlist. So if you just want to search in YouTube Trident Fishing Tour, and that whole playlist will come out in that 16 episodes for the 16 weeks I was out.
Yeah, and again, I followed a lot of that, and it was super cool watching your struggles and just the highs and lows.
Yeah, it was something. if you only had 2 episodes to watch week 8, 6, and 8. Those are the ones that are like the highlights of it. The rest of them are good, and a lot of stuff happening. But those are the 2 that have like a lot of fishing in it, a lot of good stuff. Some crazy stuff happened. It was. Been on the water for 20 years, out of a kayak for 20 years, and you think you've seen it all. And on episode 6 had this crazy tsunami come in. I've never ever been witness to, been involved with, and never seen before. It was the craziest thing. It was like a wind push tsunami. Like the tide was going out, wind was pushing in. There was a shoal over here, and it was backing it up, and all of a sudden, 2 foot of water. Just the tide went from 0 foot to 3 foot in 15 minutes. It was crazy. Freaked me out. I was, on the beach. I'm like, okay, I got nowhere else to go. it was nuts. It was nuts. And then caught a tarpon off the beach that same episode. So yeah, that was a good week. But that tour is Trident Fishing Tour if you Google or search that on YouTube.
Well, I'm sure you people can tell, Kev's got a lot of great stories, and he's got tons of videos out there. I highly recommend trying to follow him because, like I said, cool stuff and a cool guy, and former long-haired heavy metal.
Yeah, I grew it back the last 10 years.
All right, Kev. Well, you take care, man. And like I said, make sure you tell all the guys I said hey.
Absolutely, man. Great to see you, man. Great to talk to you, man. Thank you so much.
You too. Well, thanks everybody so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I mean, like I said, for me, just reliving these old shows has been so much fun, catching up with old friends. So I do appreciate it. Remember to join us every Tuesday and Thursday, 2:00 Pacific time, and we'll have different new episodes of the show. So if you are going out on the water this weekend, please remember, always wear your PFD and keep your paddle right side up. You take care.